Hi, it's Michael, and today I want to talk to you about maintenance for your Tchibo coffee maker. I love the Tchibo. It's so convenient to use, and it's just a great way to get my day started. But, you know, if you use it all the time, you do have to do certain maintenance items. And I want to run through some of these because some of the problems that you hear about in other reviews talking about mold buildup and etc., that is only happening because of improper maintenance. There's no way you're going to get a mold problem with this machine if you just follow a routine of cleaning it periodically. So let's go over some of the things that you have to do. First of all, the most obvious thing is the drip tray. Eventually this will fill up with water, accidentally if you run some coffee in there, whatever. So you just need to take this off, run over to your sink and run some water, rinse it out, and then dry it off and put it back in. So that is one of the most basic things that you can do. The second most obvious thing that you'll have to do all the time after every 10 coffees is you need to empty the coffee out of the container where the coffee pucks drop into. Now, this doesn't know how full it is, but it does know that every 10 times you operate the machine, it's going to flash the light up here that is your indication to remind you to empty this out. So you just take it off, empty it into your garbage, and you are good to go there. Now also, this longer tray here, which slides in, this will collect some drips of water on occasion, and also any residue from the grinder unit. You will find some dry coffee grounds in here as well. So again, you just need to take this over to your sink, rinse it out, just get a nice soft cloth and dry it, and that will take care of that situation. You need to wash this out as well. Put them all back together, and then the next thing you'll want to do is, I usually use a paper towel, and you just want to stick your hand in there with that towel and get out any loose grounds. See, I have a little bit of loose grounds here. Just get some loose grounds out of there, and then you want to spin the machine off to the side here and open up the side panel here. This is the cover for the brewing unit. Now you may want to just dust this off. There might be some loose coffee grounds on there. You can just wipe those off. Grab the brewing unit. There are two buttons on each side here. You just push them in and pull this straight out. Now you're probably going to have some loose coffee grounds on the top of this. You can just go over again and rinse them out. You can actually run water over this entire unit. Shake it dry a little bit, and then get a soft cloth and make sure this is completely dry before you reinsert it into the machine. All right, so after you've done that, then you want to get your paper towel, and you just want to make sure there's no loose coffee grounds anywhere here. And I usually have some loose coffee grounds right on this edge. Just push them all back in, spin this around again, and then you can just, again, use your damp paper towel, and any loose grounds that are there, you can just get rid of them. So that is really about it. It's very easy. It only takes a minute to do all this cleaning process, and you should really do this either daily or at least once a week. But I usually like to get the grounds out of here every couple days. And then just put this back on, spin this around, and we can put this all back together. Now you're also going to want to clean the machine itself. I just use a very slightly damp cloth. You can use a microfiber cloth, and this just keeps your machine looking brand new and spiffy. And then the chrome nozzle here, that'll get fingerprints on it occasionally. Just wipe everything down. Well, there you go. Now another thing that you will have to do is descale the machine. You will get an indication on the panel here that it needs to be descaled. And the way to do that is you need to take out your water container, empty it of water, and then you want to fill it about halfway with white vinegar, just plain old white vinegar, and then fill it the rest of the way with water. And that is your descaling solution. You don't have to buy expensive powders or whatever for your descaling solution. White vinegar does just fine. You can also use citric acid powder. That's another option, but white vinegar is probably the cheapest and easiest thing to do. So once you do that, you put your vinegar in there. I don't need to descale, so just pretend that I put some vinegar in here. Fill it all the way up to the max, and then put this back in your machine. And then what you're going to do is you want a container that's at least 16 ounces, and you're just going to put it under the spout. So you're going to turn the machine on, and you can just push that blinking water light if you want. You push the on-off button and hold the espresso button at the same time for a couple of seconds, and then it'll beep, and then the red indicator will show you that you are in the descaling mode. So we need to push the espresso button, which is now blinking, and just push that one time, and that is going to start the descaling process. Essentially, the process simply puts that vinegar water through the system, and then it stops, and it lets that sit in there, and that is the time that it is just going to be dissolving any mineral deposits that have formed inside the lines. So it's going to eject this liquid every once in a while, so you can just pour that out in between times, and it'll go through this process for about 15 minutes. Again, it'll pump more water in through the system, it'll sit there for a minute or two, and then it'll eject it, and then you just wait till it's finished. Eventually, it will finish. This process cannot be interrupted. Even if your power goes off, when the power goes back on again, it's going to pick up where it left off. So you can't get out of the descaling mode until it completes. So that's just something you need to know. And also, once it finishes this first cycle, it will stop, and at that point, you pull the water reservoir out, you pour any remaining liquid in there out, rinse it with clean water, rinse it thoroughly with clean water, and then fill it with clean water up to the max line and put it back in here. And then it will automatically resume. And now what it's doing at that stage is it's cleaning out any residual vinegar water that is still in the machine. And once again, it will go through the empty cycle, and then it'll stop automatically. So I will let this complete this stage of the descaling, and once it's ready for me to replace the water reservoir with clean water, we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so we've reached the end of the first cycle, and you can see that the water tank light is flashing, and then the espresso light is blinking as well. So we need to pull this out. Just a little bit of water left, but that's enough to make the machine know it's empty. So we're going to empty this out and rinse it out, because you want to get all that leftover vinegar that's in there completely out. You can rinse it a couple times. You could even wash it with soap if you wanted to. And we're going to fill this up with water all the way to the max line again. And we'll drop it back into the machine. It automatically starts, so you want to make sure that you've got your cup under there. And again, this is just going to go through, it's going to basically drain the water tank almost completely, and it's just flushing all that water and vinegar out of the system completely. So we'll come back to this in a moment when it's all done. All right, the descaling process has completed, and the machine has gone back into standby mode. At that point, you won't see any more lights on display, but it's just in the standby mode, and just by pushing the on-off button, then it will go back into the normal coffee making mode. One other thing I want to mention is this machine will, by default, always eject some water when you first turn it on, unless it has recently been used and internally it's still warm enough that it doesn't go through that first initial little flushing. So it's always a good idea to have a cup under here when you first turn it on. So because we've just been flushing the whole system out here and it turned itself off, when I turned it back on, it did not eject any water. And that is because it only does that when it's cold and when you first turn it on. It does a little flush of the system. And you know that because that little flush light, the water light, will blink and the water comes out. So that's actually beneficial though, because what happens is when it does do this, when you first turn it on, not only does it clean the line, which it should be basically clean anyway, but it does clean the line. It'll also preheat your cup. So that'll ensure that you get the hottest possible beverage out of the machine. You just pour that water out, now it's all ready to go. So I'm gonna make an espresso right now, just push that once. Now here's another little secret. If you're not happy with the amount that it produces, and it's gonna produce basically a double shot, once it starts flowing, once you start hear the water pump going, you hold your finger on it, and then as soon as it gets to the amount of coffee that you want, release it, and you'll hear a quick double beep, and it will retain that in memory, and it'll always produce that little bit extra. So I like a double shot. I actually like a lungo, so I let it just run a little bit longer. Now technically a lungo is a shot of espresso with hot water added. So by doing what I just did, you're actually running more water through the grounds that have already had their coffee extracted. So it's not the ideal way to make a lungo, but otherwise, if you did want to make a lungo the conventional way, you would pull your shot and then you would just hit the hot water, and it would just put some water through here without it actually going through the grounds again. So that's an important little note that you want to pay attention to. But look at that nice crema. I love the Tchibo. So if you have any questions about the maintenance of your Tchibo, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll answer it if I can. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to be alerted. Make sure you hit that bell too, and you'll get instant notifications when I release my next video. Take care. Thanks a lot for watching.